What's good, guys? This is Vahagraphy. I'm Vahagan, your rock and roll photographer. So one day, I see Ken Wheeler, the angry photographer, doing his weekly live stream. And I go in there and I ask him a question. I ask Ken, I go, hey, Ken, big fan? Why don't you talk about photography no more? What's going on? And for those of you who know Ken Wheeler, the angry photographer, Theoria, a man of many names, I like what he was doing. Because of him, I bought some old Nikon lenses in the past because of his recommendations, and they turned out to be great recommendations. Love him or hate him, the guy is smart. The guy knows what he's talking about. I don't know about his photography skills. I haven't seen any of his work. But as far as lenses and his recommendations go in the past, he used to talk about photography all the time, reviewing cameras, talking about lenses, showing the collection of lenses. I kind of like the guy. I think he's smart. I think he knows, again, what he's talking about. And he recommended lenses that I've bought turn out to be really good buys. So one day I see him live and I ask him, hey, Ken, how come you don't talk photography no more? What's going on? Will you ever be talking about photography? Because now he's talking about all kinds of, politics and astrophysics or whatever. I don't know. He directly tells me that photography is dead. Why would I talk about photography? YouTube. Photography on YouTube is dead. I'm not going to talk photography. Something of that nature. So after he told me that, it got me thinking. It got me thinking about photography today as a whole. The professional photographer life. The advancements of technology. The smartphone. The apps. AI. The quality of images you get from these devices that everybody has in their pockets. Is pro photography dead? And when I say professional photography, I mean a person that uses their camera, takes pictures, and makes a living, makes some money off their images to clients. That's the definition of a professional, right? So is professional photography services dead? You look at what's going on right now with AI. You look at the images you get from a iPhone, for example. Some of the images, it mimics like having an expensive lens, with a 1.4 aperture. Dial in the aperture, the photos look like you're using an expensive lens. In good light, you get really good results. It blows me away sometimes. Of course, there's limitations. When you start pixel peeping the edges of the face, you can see that it's AI generated bokeh, right? For example. But to the average consumer, is that enough? Do they care? Is the need of a professional photographer these days on an average household needed, or is it dead today? The other day I was shooting, and this ties right into what I'm saying. The other day I was shooting a couple at work, and I see another photographer. She's there. She's shooting a couple as well, like me, same location, but she's using her phone. She told the couple, gave them directions on how to turn, how to pose, but she's there using her smartphone. She wasn't using a camera. She wasn't using a mirrorless camera. She wasn't using a DSLR, no flash, nothing. She was using her phone. And this is not the first time I've witnessed this. What's going on? Is the need of a true professional photographer dead today? And how do you feel about that? Do you think YouTube photography channels are dead? Do you think we're beating a dead horse on here? Do you think the market is so niched down only to people that are interested on YouTube that are collectors, that are hobbyists, that go out once in a while and take pictures of an occasional bird or do some portraits on the side just for fun? Is YouTube photography the subject of photography on YouTube dead right now? Or is it dying? You look at other YouTube photographers, for example, they switched their business. They went from photography to full-time YouTube review. They were photographers for clients, and then they turned to reviewers on YouTube, and now they're reviewing cameras and lenses. Jared Pohl, for example, the Frono's Photo Man. He, in the past, worked as a photographer. You could hire him to take pictures. He'd have assignments. But now he's changed his business model. Now he reviews and he's doing videos. Has his views gone down? I mean, this has a lot to do with how many channels there are now in 2023 versus how many channels there were in 2009 or whatever, right? But again, a lot has to do with what people are watching these days, what people are interested in. Ultimately, a lot of these channels on YouTube are there to make money. They're there to make a living. Is photography dead? Has the smartphone replaced the need of services for pro photographers? It's an interesting topic, guys. Times are changing. I bring up Jared Polin and his business model change. I bring up Ken Wheeler, the angry photographer. Stop talking photography on YouTube. Says it's a waste of time. It's dead. Is he right? I bring up all these questions because it's interesting to just look at the industry as a whole. You can even pull back just a little bit further and just look at photography camera manufacturers, let's say, right? Are they scared? Are they in trouble? Of course, you're going to need the needs of a professional shooter at a sporting event, right? Capturing sports. You're not going to get those amazing shots for the news feeds with an iPhone. You're not going to get that. You're not going to get, serious wildlife photography with your iPhone. You're going to need a big rig. You're going to need a very expensive telephoto lens with a fast camera to capture those birds, to capture nature, National Geographic. But everybody's not doing National Geographic work. Everybody's getting paid. So the question is the market, is photography so niched down, so small, that it's catering to us that love photography only? And I'm talking about when you look at the general population, right? You look at the general population of, civilians, let's say, that really are not into photography, but they like taking pictures, right? You look at that and you say, do they care about pro photographers? Will they pay pro photographers? Because now in 2023, I see the emergence of iPhone pros, people with iPhone shooting events. You can't use flash. You can't, there's limitations on constant light, the power of light. Once the light goes down at these venues, you have pretty crappy quality images. It's not going to replace your professional camera for event shooters, for serious photographers that depend on their camera to capture really good quality images. Wherever venue it is, you're going to have, your smartphone is basically useless when the lights go down. So what do? Use a real camera, right? So it got me thinking, is it dead? You look at other YouTubers, you look at other creators that were all into photography when they started their YouTube channels, and now they're doing something else. Jessica, what's her name? Jessica Kabazi. You look at her. She started a photo channel and she was all into photography, and then she realized maybe that, hey, I'm going to be talking about, I'm going to do reaction videos for makeup, or I don't know what she's doing right now. And good for her. If it's working for her, she has so many subscribers. I mean, has millions of followers, and then she stopped doing what got her there. And Did she sell out? Did she take another route of making money, easier way of making money? Did she stop getting inspired of talking about photography? Did she run out of things to talk about? You know what I'm all these things, you look at the market and it makes you wonder. For me, when I think about professional photography services and when I think about a consumer and do they need pro photography services, it's right up my alley because this is what I've been doing for many years now, right? Is it time to change? Because we all know that. And here's a question. Here's a question I pose to a lot of you guys watching this video right now. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know. Is being a professional photographer enough these days to expand, to build wealth? I'm not talking about just get by. I'm not talking about just pay your bills and, you know, keep trucking along. No, I'm talking about building wealth. Is professional photography enough? You look at some of the pros that are very successful and notable, like a Jerry Guiones. He's a wedding photographer, but does he shoot weddings on a regular basis? Or is he doing other things like teaching photography to build wealth? See, in the old days, back in the days, and not too long ago, photographers were photographers. I mean, when I started photography, there wasn't not that many of us out there that knew what we were doing, right? Film, you kind of had to know what you were doing with film photography. Couldn't screw up, right? You kind of had to know what your lens does and lighting and all that stuff. Now digital came around and everybody, was a photographer all of a sudden, and God bless everybody. That's cool. So the more in the market, the less you make. Is that true? Let me know what you think about that. The demand for professional photographers. Now, here's another thing that I was thinking about. After Ken Wheeler, the angry photographer, said YouTube photographers are dead, or the niche is dead, why even talk about that? It got me thinking to the attention span of the average consumer. Now, today on social media, we're bombarded with images, amazing looking images. Whether it's edited, created, AI, whatever it is, they're amazing. The colors, the contrast, the image. We're bombarded with these feeds of just amazing looking photographs. So as the average consumer's attention span and the wow factor diminished, do professional photographers have to go the extra mile to wow the crowd? You know what I'm saying? Does the average consumer appreciate professional photography? Do they know? Or, when you're bombarded with a big list of things to watch and see on internet, on social media, on Instagram, on whatever, attention spans tend to shrink and you drift off. I'll give you an example of this. Digital media versus physical media. And this ties into what I'm saying here. I know you might be thinking, hey, he's talking about different things, but it all ties into the same thing. The other day I was watching Gamers Off the Grid YouTube channel. Amazing two guys talking about games and the industry of gaming. And these two guys are collectors and they love video games, especially the old days with the cartridge games. They were talking about, how the gaming industry is shifting from physical media to digital downloads. And they're sad about it. They love collecting the physical media. And they went down to their local Target and they saw that the shelves were almost empty in their market. And they were kind of sad about it. So they made a video. And by the way, that video did very well. Same thing with Netflix. Back in the day, you used to walk into a video store and rent a VHS, pay $5 or whatever it was, and you would appreciate it because you paid that hard-earned money to rent that one cassette, and you'd watch the whole movie. and you would appreciate that movie. But now, today, we have digital downloads, we have Netflix, we have all these streaming services. If you don't like something, the first 5 minutes of a movie, are you guys guilty of this? You just switch the movie, turn it off. You only get through 5 or 10 minutes and you move on to the next movie. You move into the next movie. And this has become the norm. You don't get to the part of the movie where, wow, this is an awesome piece of work, So we just shut it off, we move on. Attention span. You see what I'm getting at? So where is this heading? And now with AI being the talk of the town with imagery, is this a sad state of affairs when it comes to creators? And also the emergence of videography, hybrid cameras. Do filmmakers have more of opportunities than photographers these days? Videographers. Are customers willing to pay more for video creators than photography stills? I remember somebody mentioned something about, oh, well, you can just, rip a still from a 4K image now. You don't really need to shoot photo. What are you saying? If that was the case, we'd be shooting video and just ripping it straight from the video clip. That just takes away from the effort. That takes away from the art. That takes away from lighting setup, the images that you create in your head, your vision. And I got a question for you guys. And I know this topic is kind of, I'm generalizing somewhat, but this is on my mind. Do you think today, if Ansel Adams or let's say Joseph Karsh or some of the greats of photography that are highly regarded in museums and the history of photography, do you think, given today's times, would they be able to make a name for themselves today if they were just starting out? So if you had Ansel Adams starting out today, do you think he'd be recognized, and do you think he'd have 2 million or 5 million subscribers on Instagram? Let me know in the comments below, because this is interesting. Are they special because they were they were pioneers, they were firsts in the industry? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Is photography YouTube talk dead today? That's something to think about, guys, and it's been on my mind. Is the need for a professional photographer dead in 2023? Are people not hiring pros for events? Is photography such a small niche today that it's catering to a small group of people when it comes to like all these camera manufacturers, lenses, this and that? But here's one thing. When a new camera comes out, the hype is real. The camera's sold out. You can't get it for months. What does that tell you? A lot of it has to do with filmmaking, right? A lot of it has to do with video creation too, because a lot of these video guys are buying mirrorless still cameras that do video. That has a lot to do with it as well. And are you a hybrid shooter today? Or are you still a stills photographer? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. This is a very interesting topic. And I thought I'd just talk about this openly, freely today. And something to think about, because where are we going with this AI stuff? Where are we going with for the photography business? Are you making more money today than you were 10 years ago, let's say, in photography? Great questions. These are all great questions. And we're living in a time where it's really, you pay attention. Pay attention to what's going on, because are we beating a dead horse with this photography talk? Is this something that we can be successful in 10 years from now? Or are we just wasting our time? Because hey, it's different. If you're a wealthy person, you come from wealth, or you have a successful side business that you're just in this space, you're in cameras, you're into cameras and lenses because it's a hobby for you, but you make a lot of money, or you're successful with something else. that's different. You're in a different category. I'm talking to those that depend on photography for a living. I'm talking to those that are in this space because they love it and they want to do something with it, as a career, as something more than just a hobby. I know I brought up a few different topics that can be split into like 5-6 different videos, but it's all tied into the same thing: the future, the times we're living in, smartphone technology, pro photography, YouTube channels, video shooters, photography shooters, the industry as a whole today. It's all tied in. See, the photography industry is different than, let's say, maybe the art, painting, and music industry. You kind of have to know how to play to be a successful musician, or know how to sing. In some cases, right? I mean, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in the music industry, but with music, you kind of have to, you kind of have to have talent, right? You kind of have to write the songs and be good with the instrument, and also artwork, paintings. You have to draw that stuff. You have to draw it. You have to be good with it. You have to be talented. A little different, right? What do you say? So let me know, guys. Is Ken Wheeler right? Let me know in the comments below. If you can, 65 to 70% of people that watch Vahagraphy are unsubscribers. So if you've gone this far and you enjoyed the video, guys, I'd appreciate if you subscribe to this channel, like the video, share it with your friends, and be a part of this community, guys. I'll really appreciate it. We have fun here. We talk about all things photography. So like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for watching. This is Vahagraphy. I'm Vahagan, your rock and roll photographer. Go out there, shoot, stay safe, and be well. We'll catch you on the next video. Rock and roll.